Hey, man.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Doing good.
Look at you with that nice setup all in the studio. You look like a proper YouTuber, which I guess is appropriate for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's very me. I've
Like,
been doing streaming at home, like Twitch. So
oh,
I
yeah.
kind of made a little setup.
Nice. Yeah, it's like I speak to a lot of bands, and sometimes, you can hardly see them because they're a silhouette against a window or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you appear on my screen and everything looks lit and super professional.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you're at home, I guess?
Yeah, I'm in the office right now.
Office.
Yeah, the Senate office.
How have you been spending your time like in the last 12 months then?
Oh man. Since the touring that we were doing got canceled, which obviously sucked.
Yeah, cancel. Like, how many times did you have to reschedule or cancel?
The UK one in particular, like those, God bless them, man. Like they've been so patient with us. They bought their tickets in October of 2019. And then I had a vocal injury. So I had to get surgery. So we had to postpone it. And they were very understanding. And it was very kind of them. And then we were going to go see them again. But then COVID happened. And so we're like, okay. The story behind that was we had this whole run plan. We just finished Australia and we were about to do a tour in Asia with Jimmy Eat World, which I could not wait for. Nice. And then we were going to go from there right to the UK and Europe. And then we just watched it all fall apart right in front of us. And we're like, no. So we were waiting in an Airbnb in Australia because we were like, okay, maybe this is, we had no idea how severe it would become. Like maybe this is just like a shutdown for a couple of weeks. So let's just wait it out and maybe we'll push some dates back or something like that. And we obviously we had to go home. But since then I've been like, I've been working on an album nonstop. We're in the process of finishing songs right now. I'm actually, as soon as this interview's over, I think I'm going to head over to the studio and just kind of fine tune things. I'm going to track vocals for a couple things, but then we've been working on that because we knew we had time, like I wanted to know when we're working on our record that I won't have to rush, and I want to know that we can tour on it eventually. And now we're finally getting to that point, however many months later, to where it seems like that's seeming possible.
Yeah, cross. Like Architects just announced a show today in Montreal. So that's kind of a big show for, awesome. Architects coming. So and we've got a few other things that have been announced. So I think everybody's still like, okay, that's great, but let's wait and see.
Not real till I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys are getting things in the diary?
Yeah. We're getting everything put together. We've been working hard behind the scenes as a group. We've been trying to just be as connected as possible to our fan base throughout this time, for them, but also for us, so that we can feel sane and that like it's hard. The thing about touring, which is so great as an artist, is that you have physical validation for what you're doing. Like people like us. Okay, cool. Like you're still here. You still are supporting our music. Thank you. But when you don't have that, it feels like radio silence, and you're just like, okay, are people still thinking about us? What's going on here? So it's been really amazing to be able to actually stream and like get to know our fan base even on a more personal level, and them to get to know us a little more better. And we've been doing a podcast as well, to where it's literally just it's called Talk It Off, and it's just the three of us as if you were hanging out with us on like the bus. Like we're just talking about nothing.
But you guys have always had like a really good sense of community, even before all this, the shutdown. It's always been there, and you've always been very involved. And I guess this just means you've been able to take that up a notch, right?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. It's always meant a lot to us, just because when this band started, because I was a super fan of another band. I know what it's like to be a huge fan and want to feel connected. And I've never wanted that sort of placement that some people I've heard like search for, where it's to feel untouchable. I don't like that personally, but that's why it's been so nice. Like you said, it was able to elevate, because it's just me in front of a camera like I am with you right now. And I get to talk about whatever I'm going through. And then I'm reading the chat and they're telling me what they're going through. And maybe that might like spark a memory. And then we talk on that for a while, or it's either that or making stupid jokes or I'm playing video games. It's like hanging out. I really like it.
Excellent. So You mentioned that you've been working on new music. How far along are you? What can you tell us about that?
Oh man, it's crazy. I think if I never had a deadline, I don't think I'd ever stop. My goal was like 40 songs, and usually you'll like write some songs that get fully recorded and some that don't. We have I checked, I think 34 fully recorded songs to like sift through right now, and
so we're getting a triple album then.
Oh yeah, I wish. It's a nerve-wracking experience because there's quality and quantity, and that's why I want to do that many songs. That's why I want to take my time, because I never want to feel like we release an album and there's like, oh, this song, here's the filler song. I don't want to ever feel like I'm giving out a filler song. And I'm sure everyone else like feels the same way when they're creating records and stuff. As I get nervous because what if you choose the wrong one? What if, and then the single choices come into play? But that's where having like, you know, the guys around you and your team around you are really helpful. But I'm now in that like mental space of shit. Like we're getting there. It's getting close. So I am nervous and pumped up.
So like a lot of people in this time with the pandemic and all that, it's kind of forced them to take a little bit of a step back and look at the wider picture and think about how they might want to see things moving forward when things open up again. Has this time changed your perspective on anything to do with the band? Like,
anything to do with the band, I wouldn't say, not a ton on that front. I do think about like when we're doing VIPs in the future, I hope that if someone has like a cold or something, if we provide masks, that they'll wear one. Because what it's kind of put into perspective for me is, since we've been in quarantine and wearing masks, how little I get sick, just because like everyone's, you know, we have that blockade up. It's protecting. And because I got a cold recently, and of course the anxiety set in, like, is it just a cold? Like, but It was, thankfully. But it was kind of like this realization of, oh, I'm human, I can get sick again. But then I started thinking about tour, and I'd say at least once minimum, maybe twice per tour, I'll get sick, because you're living in such close quarters. Like there's just air filters that fill up with dust. You're contacting so many people. But I like being in the crowd and stuff. So I don't know. I'm kind of just rambling right now, but I guess nothing's really absolutely changed about that. But one thing I have learned to be able to be more okay with is being home a bit more, because I feel like usually the grind was go on tour for a couple months, come home, because at the end of the 2 months, you're like, can't wait to be home. You come home to 2 weeks, you're like, get me out of here. And I feel like I've gotten better at that. And, you know, I'm engaged. So, and I have like 2 dogs, so I get to like enjoy my home time. And I'm really learning to appreciate that, instead of feeling like I have to go all the time.
Yeah.
So trying to balance work with just overall happiness. And I feel like I've struck a decent balance throughout this whole thing. And yeah.
Nice. And has that time to think changed how you think about the kind of music you want to make? I mean, I guess most bands always want to feel like they're progressing, but maybe not alienating their fans too much.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that? Like the next step? Obviously, you're writing music at the moment.
No, absolutely. I feel like one of my biggest weaknesses a while ago was that I would overthink about what should happen next. Like, how should we sound? And what I'm starting to like learn, and I feel like we're doing it with this record, is as I grow as a person, the sound is just going to change. It's just what I'm listening to at the time, what I've been experiencing. It's almost like I feel the more I let go and just stop thinking and just start writing, the better stuff we can come out with. Because otherwise you accidentally contrive something. Like you try to feed the audience what you think they want, and in turn give them something that's not genuine to you. And so I feel like right now the stuff we're creating is still reminiscent of everything they've loved about our band, but also there's a lot of growth that can be heard in it. And that's all I could personally ask for. Oh, obviously I ask and hope that they like it as much as I like it right now, but you never know until it comes out.
I guess naturally, if your sound progresses, some fans will fall by the wayside, but you'll gain new fans that connect with the new material, and that's the natural growth of a band and your audience, right?
Exactly. And that's just kind of part of it. It's so funny. Like I think back to like when I first released an album and how any negative comment on a song would just destroy me. And now I've grown to be totally comfortable with that. I went through this personal journey to accept criticism where I looked up some album reviews of people that I knew weren't feeling like a previous album, just to kind of not to like abuse myself mentally, but to be like, okay, well, what don't you like about it? And I was really curious about that. I think I deal really well with criticism now, whereas I didn't used to in the past, and I think that's helped me be more okay with the fact and understanding that you are not going to please everybody. Like I'm very much a people pleaser. I want everyone to be happy. I don't want anyone to argue. I want everyone to love everything. And I'm okay with the fact knowing that when you release an album, the people, if you love it enough, people will also love it, but not everyone will. And that's fine. So as far as like the progression and some people hanging by and some people don't, it's obviously something that's like you want everyone to stick around, but I'm excited to see what new like the new fans that come in from for the new sound. Yeah.
And are there any elements that you can tell us that are slightly different to the new songs?
Oh man. That's it's hard to put my finger on, to be honest with you. I'd say I used to be consistently over dramatic with delivery sometimes. And I'm just being totally real about that. Like there's certain songs where I look back and like I wouldn't sing that song the same way today. Like I look back at albums like Cinematics, which was a very like dark, theatrical, kind of maniacal album. And if I were to do it today, I would have probably had a more relaxed tone to my vocals on it. And I think that's something that I'm noticing on this is I'm okay with laying back a little bit and just kind of letting the song, trying to support the song rather than taking over with an emotion like it's a musical.
And you mentioned earlier about the vocal surgery, which is obviously, the worst thing that it's
your biggest fear.
Yeah. But do you think that's affected the way you're going to be singing now? Like you're talking about maybe holding back a bit. Is that part of the reason?
Oh, I don't mean as far as intensity, like going for high notes. Like I'm still all over. Like I try to explore my range as much as I can in every album, and I'm having a blast with that. I will say I'm glad it happened because it really made me aware and start paying more attention to how I'm treating my body on tour, how I have been going for high notes. I didn't realize that my technique was a little off. And so once I healed up, I started taking vocal lessons out here with an amazing coach, Rachel Lawrence. And I had this breakthrough lesson recently, which just made my day. And where I figured out how to access the range that I want in a more effortless way. And it still has the power behind, because that was always my worry. Like if I am going for this high note, but I don't feel like I'm tightening my whole body to get to it, is it still powerful sounding? And I've found a way how to do that. And so I don't think I have or will lose that side ever. It's just more so having more painting the songs with more than one brush, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So it's been a couple of years since Midnight, and obviously you've kind of had this album that came out, which sort of completes the cycle of that album, I guess.
Yeah.
So looking back, it felt like a bit of another milestone for you guys, this album. Looking back on that album now, you mentioned about there's some things you might want to change on earlier albums. Is there anything about that? How do you feel about that album 2 years later?
Great question. It's funny. It's perfect timing to ask this because we just got done doing a listening party for our final chapter. It was called Midnight, the Final Chapter, where we added some acoustic songs on and the whole thing. And we did a listening party on Spotify with some of the fans, and we were re-listening through, and I was genuinely enjoying it. Like I think I would have delivered that album the same still. I think like that's still very much in line with how I Set It Off, and I'm really proud of that album. I really am. It was a lot of fun to make it. It's really fun to look back on. Just all the references that were in place. Like I don't think I would change anything with that album.
Nice. That's what you want. So talking about those earlier songs that you do think you may have changed a little bit, how do you approach those when you play live now? Do you play them live in a slightly different way, or do you try and keep them representative of the album?
For me, I think I just tried to sing it how I would feel it in that moment. when we're like performing live, I realize like I don't really think too much. I think it's just kind of go. Let's just go, and whatever happens, happens. So if I had to like kind of analyze it, I'd say that I would sing it how I would sing anything today. I'm sure there'd be flair there. It depends on the mood. Am I pissed off in the moment and I need to vent through a song, then I'm probably going to sing it really angry. Am I thinking about somebody that recently wronged me? I love doing that, honestly, throughout performances. If there's an angry song coming up and I've recently been screwed over, I'll, in the intro of it, just imagine it. Just kind of forcefully put myself through it and then just vent throughout the song. So I guess it's not a simple answer. I'm sorry, but I think it is case by case.
Okay. So talking about playing live, and I know you guys are very energetic and there's big like back and forth with the crowd and all that kind of stuff. What makes a perfect show for you in your mind? Like, what are the elements that come together where you just come off stage and go, that could not have been any better than it was?
Man, I literally got goosebumps when you asked that question, because now I'm like reminiscing on tours and like looking forward to going back out there again. It is, if I had to like pick a passion, like songwriting or like, you know, or just singing, it's performing 100% of the way. So I think I know exactly how to answer this. For me, I can walk off stage knowing it was the best show of my life if everyone's singing along. That's my favorite thing. It's like, it feels like a group event. I love camaraderie. So like, if I can hear them screaming the words, and sometimes over like me, or like even while I'm singing the microphone, I still hear them. It's the greatest feeling. But also seeing everyone just having a really, really good time and letting go. And I think one of the hardest things to do, especially if you're new to shows, is kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone and not caring if people are looking at you. And so like when you see the crowd loosen up and just like hands in the air, dancing, like you're just lost in the moment, when you feel like everyone's doing that, like the entire crowd, those are the best shows. And we added this moment in the set that I don't know if I ever want to get rid of. We rearranged the bridge to a song of ours called No Disrespect, because I saw this artist Quinn 92 did this thing at I think it was Bonnaroo, and he had the crowd jump left together and then jump right together and then back to the center. I was like, we have to do that. And what I didn't even think about was that because you're asking the crowd to do that, the whole crowd has to participate or you get trampled. I didn't realize that when I did it. So everyone, usually like if there's someone like in the crowd with their arms crossed, like, I don't know about this, by that point is when they buy in, because they're like, okay, this is fun. They're like forced to jump outside of their comfort zone. And then because it's important to us in our live shows, I want people, because my favorite shows were the ones I could go home and like talk about, like, oh, this happened at the show. There's a specific moment. And I feel like if you can give the audience that to go home, then they'll have such a great time and they'll want to come back and do it again.
For sure. Is there a band that you kind of look up to and you're just like, I want to set it off to have a career like that band?
Oh man, career-wise as a whole,
yeah.
I mean, you got to tip your hat to Fall Out Boy. I mean, they've been titans of this genre umbrella of alternative. You just can't not look at that and be like, you're legends. You did it. You paved the way for everybody. So they're also who we named our band after. So, I've always loved them very, very much and respected everything they've done. I feel like they've done everything in the way they wanted to do it. And I think that's just the coolest thing ever. As far as modern bands that are like, as far as like my live show that I look up to is 21 Pilots. I think they have one of the best live shows out right now. And they're also very creative and they do everything in their own way. And as far as the persistence and the grind and seeing them resurge and blow up all over again, it's back down full circle to All Time Low. There's all these bands that I can like look at for different reasons and just say like, you're really doing it. And it's so cool to see. And it's inspirational. And so live show, 21 Pilots, current career, just killing it, All Time Low. And then overall legendary, Fall Out Boy, I think would be it. Nice. Hard for me to pick one answer, I'm realizing, for anything. Yeah, but
that's you're kind of picking things for different reasons, and that's, that makes it more interesting, gives more context, rather than, there's so many bands out there and you like them for different reasons. But
I'm so bad at like, what's your favorite movie? Like, I have no idea.
Okay. Well, on that topic, I'm going to throw you a question you probably
here we go.
with.
Okay.
In your lifetime, what do you think is the album you've listened to more than any other album?
Oh, that's tough. I cycle quite a bit, but there was a period in time where I would not put down From Under the Cork Tree, but also Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge was a big one in my life. I wish if I had to guess, it'd be those two. Currently, it's so weird. I feel like I've kind of just gone along with the wave of streaming and I don't listen to like full albums anymore. I like songs on Spotify and I go to my liked songs and I shuffle it. Is what I've been doing, but I always end up coming back to those artists. But I've been listening to like a lot of stuff outside of my genre recently.
Like what?
Like there's this artist named Chica. It's Chica or Chica, but she said her name is Chica once in a song, and that's what I'm assuming it is. Okay. She's like this rap artist, but she also sings, and she has a song called, if I may recommend a song to anyone listening, it's called Songs About You. I found my friend posted her Tiny Desk performance on his Instagram story, and I was just like, what the hell is this amazing work of art? And then I found her music, and I've just been like a mega fan. It's so good. So I'm listening to that. But as far as like favorite album album I've listened to the most, I think I have to give it to From Under the Cork Tree. I think I have to.
One question I wanted to ask you quickly: any chance of any clarinet on the new album?
Oh, actually, yeah, I don't know if the song will make it to the album, but I always try to have clarinet on one song a record, and I think I've been able to do it since Horrible Kids. We didn't do it on our first EP. So I'll actually be kind of upset if I don't find a way to just force it in there.
You get in.
But I think, because we have like our usual strings and horns throughout the album. I think if it's not an apparent clarinet, I'm going to layer it in there somehow. So I'll find a way.
Hopefully things will start opening up again for everyone soon, and you'll be back on the road. And here in Montreal, we would obviously love to see you back.
Can't wait to come back.
So good luck with everything. We look forward to the new music, and we look forward to you guys getting back out on the road and joining us back north of the border.
Yes.
But thanks very much for spending some time chatting with me today, and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you on Twitch, I guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see you guys on the road as well. Thanks for having me.